Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to Sister Wives with Mary Jane Kay. Today it's book club and I'll be breaking down the first half of chapter 7 on Christine. To my YouTube viewers, if you appreciate the content, I would really appreciate if you could hit that like button and subscribe. I'm always eager to hear your take on things, so let me know your thoughts in the comments section if you like. Also, the new season of Sister Wives, season 17, will begin on September 11th. So I look forward to covering all the new episodes. And I'm super curious to see what direction Cody will go in. We've got about 6 weeks to the premiere date. So I want your input. If you guys would prefer me to continue the rewatch of season 3 until the new season, let me know. Or I can always cover the first half of season 16 that I haven't covered yet, just in time for the new season if you guys would prefer that. So let me know what your preference is if you like. And of course, when the new season ends, I will just resume the rewatch wherever I left off. Okay, let's get into the first half of chapter 7 on Christine. Christine says the first year of her marriage to Cody was tough. Isn't that typically supposed to be the honeymoon phase? Did Christine and Cody ever have the honeymoon phase, or did they just skip that and go straight to matrimonial hell? Christine loved Cody, but Cody felt like a stranger to her. Christine was unsure of where she stood with Cody. She felt terrible and unsettled about it. I think Cody played charming till he married Christine. And then the mask fell off on the wedding day and during the honeymoon. And Christine probably realized Cody isn't the man she perceived him to be. And it probably unnerved her to learn the truth of the character of the man she married. I'm sure it was a rude awakening. Christine writes, I wasn't entirely unaware of the struggles I might face. Growing up around so many polygamous families, I was well aware of the problems and pitfalls, the anger and jealousy, as well as the daily organizational and financial struggles. I knew that the situation I was entering was going to be challenging. I'd never seen my parents fight, but I realized that once they got divorced, their marriage must have been troubled for a long time. But in our family, if you had a problem, you just put on a smile and didn't let it show. I never saw my parents try to work through their differences until it was too late. In my opinion, I think Christine had to shove her feelings down and put on a smile for a lot of her marriage to Cody. Remember when we learned that Christine felt like the basement wife? Christine admitted last tell-all she had to sacrifice herself and her needs to do what was best for the family. And she was the nurturer and the caregiver and the heart of the family. She always has a cheerful disposition. Even when Christine told Cody she felt overwhelmed and she needed help with the caregiving, Cody was no help or support to Christine. He told her she signed up for this and she needed to hold up her end of the deal. We know Christine put on a smile and she espoused the benefits of polygamy in season 1, selling it to viewers while behind closed doors, she suffered and she told Cody she hated the lifestyle. Christine always seemed very willing to work on herself and her relationship with Cody. But in my opinion, Cody didn't seem too interested on working on himself or their relationship. That willingness to keep trying in Christine probably came from her wanting to write a different book than her parents did. The issue is, Cody didn't seem too willing to try himself. When Christine married Cody, she ignored the problems. That was her way to cope. She put on her rose-colored glasses and maintained her bubbly disposition. She imagined when she entered plural marriage, she wouldn't face the same issues others did. We know previously, Christine said, when other polygamist women would complain when a new wife came in, Christine felt she couldn't relate or understand their feelings, and she never imagined having to face it herself. And that's part of the reason she wanted to be a third wife. I think Christine wanted to avoid as many pitfalls of polygamy as possible for herself, and I don't blame her. Christine says if she was naive, it was because she chose to be. Christine stopped being able to put on a smile to bury her problems not long after she married Cody. Christine felt nervous and insecure. She felt overwhelmed by her new situation. Janelle just had Logan at this time, and Christine, Cody, Janelle, and Mary couldn't agree on how to organize the household or on how to raise the kids. You would think, since they got together before they had kids, that they would have discussed all of their parenting styles and come to some type of consensus on this before they started having babies, since there was that opportunity to really communicate and figure it out. Cody doted on Logan, and Cody's attention on Logan, his firstborn child, made Christine feel insignificant because she felt there was no way she could compete with Logan as Cody's firstborn son. For the first 3 months of her marriage, Christine lived in the same home as her sister wives. Despite the struggles, Christine felt the four of them were developing a solid family identity. The four adults would eat together around a small kitchen table, and Christine was accustomed to a large family. So she thought it was very strange to have the four adults be the only company at dinner. Christine realized she needed to deepen her relationship with Cody and develop it more. Despite being married, Christine realized she didn't know Cody that well. She had always idealized the idea of living with sister wives, but she realized she needed her own space. So Christine got her own cottage so that she and Cody could spend time together alone, because they barely shared a moment alone since they were married. 3 months into the marriage, Christine got pregnant. Dealing with her insecurities and her hormones, Christine was a wreck, and she was away from her family and her friends in Utah for the first time, and she was totally away from her support system, living a world away in Wyoming. Christine felt lonely, and she worried about the state of her marriage. Cody seems to be a really sucky husband, to put it plainly. Janelle went through feeling lonely and unhappy upon marrying Cody, and Christine as well, because in my opinion, it seems Cody doesn't provide stability and support for his wives when they come into the family. His wives shouldn't feel lonely and isolated. Cody should be much more involved in supporting them, especially emotionally. Janelle also felt similarly when she married Cody. Christine also shouldn't feel like she barely knows her husband that she was head over heels for. She knew him for over 3 years before they got married, so she shouldn't feel like she barely knows him. At this point, I think in the beginning, Cody was charming and supportive and invested, and once he has the marriage locked down, I feel like he drops the mask and he flips the script. And that's a scary thing for a young newlywed, away from their parents for the first time, with little to no emotional support and understanding from their husband. Plus, add to that being pregnant and not knowing where you stand with your husband. I'm sure it's a heavy weight and a lot of anxiety to navigate that feeling isolated and alone away from your support system. Christine tried communicating with Cody. She tried talking about her problems, but she didn't know how to express herself effectively. She didn't have the vocabulary to tell Cody what was wrong. Christine writes, Cody didn't know how to listen to me during our first fight, which was predictably about the fact that I thought he divided his time unfairly between his wives. He just put his head in his hands and covered his face. It was as if he was trying to make it all go away. He didn't have the emotional tools to deal with the needs of 3 wives. I knew that he felt he had married me too soon. The 4 of us were too young to deal with the situation we'd created. We know that Cody knew before he married Christine, he felt it was too soon, and when he told Christine, she insisted they marry as soon as possible. As the more mature one in the relationship, Cody should have stuck to his guns and done a longer engagement with Christine. Cody even had misgivings on his wedding day, but he plowed ahead, and it was unfair to do to Christine, who was totally in love with him. He understood he felt pressure and the dynamic at home was shitty, and he could have explained to Christine he needed time to adjust to plural marriage and to adjust the dynamic of his household before he married her. He was totally aware and he did nothing about it. And that was unfair to Christine. Christine is blaming the situation on the four of them being too young. But Cody was already aware of the issues and he refused to voice them and resolve them to prepare to marry Christine. He knew what he was bringing Christine into fully, and he did it anyways without giving her any type of heads up. Was it that Cody didn't have the emotional tools to have an adult conversation with his wife and that he didn't know how to communicate? Or was it that Cody is emotionally lazy and he likes convenience and he prefers to bury his head in the sand rather than to do his part and address the issues and put in the effort? It's inconvenient for Cody to address the problem or change his behavior to resolve it, so as usual, he ignores it and acts like it doesn't exist, so it will go away as if by magic because that's more convenient for him. And to Cody, convenience is king, in my opinion. If Christine wanted equal time among the wives, she had a right to that and she signed up for that. And in the faith, equal time is the way the principle should be lived, and Christine grew up in this faith. Sure, she saw Cody not doing things fairly, and she asked, all Cody had to do was adjust his schedule and adjust his behavior. But rather than easily fix it, he acted frustrated and he probably tried to ignore it because he didn't want to change how he does things. Fair or not, Cody wanted convenience for himself, as usual, in my opinion. Shortly after Logan's birth, Janelle returned to work. And Janelle, Christine says, was the most employable member of the family. And she got the best jobs as a result. I always suspected that Janelle was actually the primary breadwinner of the family, bringing in more than Cody financially. And here Christine says Janelle was the most employable person in the family and she got the best jobs. So it's possible that that may be the case. Christine was Logan's caregiver when Janelle worked, and it was a joy and a delight for Christine. I can't think of a better, more reliable, nurturing woman to leave my child with. That's probably the best caregiver and babysitter in the world because you can tell Christine beams when she talks about the kids and she always puts the kids first. She loves those kids with everything in her, and you can tell she's very invested in that. Christine loved mothering Logan, and it was the highlight of her first difficult year of marriage. During Logan's first year, Janelle and Mary always fought. So Christine brought joy into Logan's world. Christine created a truce between Janelle and Mary, and the house became more peaceful and loving for Logan. Logan is the child of all three mothers. Mary provided constructive discipline. Janelle provided a safe, comfortable place for Logan to live. And Christine showed Logan as much happiness and joy as she could, despite her own problems. Christine played with Logan. She engaged him a lot. She taught him silly games and instructional games. Christine enjoyed caring for Logan, but most of her first pregnancy, she was super depressed. Christine lost her identity in joining an already established family. She was no longer bubbly and vibrant. Christine was unable to see the bright side. Christine writes, even though I had a strong testimony in plural marriage and always wanted to enter a family as a third wife, it was harder than I thought it would be. I struggled with my disappointment and frustration that something I thought would be perfect, celestial even, was actually hard work and brought about a certain amount of pain. Before marrying Cody, I honestly believed that being a third wife would be the easiest position because the family would have already worked through all their issues regarding jealousy and sharing. But I had no understanding of how much work would be left to do. I don't understand why the women in the faith aren't upfront with the FLDS women who are going to marry the younger ladies about the amount of work and struggle involved, so at least they all have reasonable expectations of what it will entail to live plurally. I think a lot of the women are shortchanged when the older women in the faith who know the realities of plural marriage don't at least prepare the younger women for the hard work and struggles and the dynamics of plural marriage. Most of the young women seem to go into it without understanding the implications or the realities of living polygamy because the ugly truth seems to be swept under the rug. And that's so unfair when a lot of these younger women don't have the maturity or the tools or the life experience to understand the consequences and the big picture involved with the choice they're making to live plural marriage. After Aspen was born, Christine got a call from an old friend in Utah. Christine's friend asked where she was right now. Christine took the question literally, and she told her friend she was in Powell, Wyoming, where she lived. Her friend clarified she meant to ask where Christine was mentally and emotionally, and she told Christine she seemed lost and not like her usual self. Her friend asked her what changed. Christine told her friend she no longer felt good or worthy. She was insecure about her marriage. Christine's friend told Christine she was the same person she had always been, and that's why Cody married her. She reassured Christine Cody loved her for her, and she advised Christine not to change, not to mope, and not to try and be anyone different. Those words resonated with Christine. She realized she was a wife and a mother, and she could be happy if she wanted to. Christine writes, I'd lost my identity only because I'd let it happen. I could be me and be happy if I chose. I know this sounds overly simplistic, but all I needed was for someone to remind me that it was up to me to reclaim my sense of self. I needed a kick in the pants. After all, I was the one who'd committed to the plural lifestyle. I was the one who had wanted sister wives more than I'd wanted a husband. It was up to me to enjoy it and make it work. She continues, once I became more relaxed, I began to understand my place in the family. I started becoming an active and important force in negotiating a truce and soothing a lot of our hurt. Mary and Janelle didn't have a relationship at all, but I had started to develop a fun sort of camaraderie with Mary. In addition to this, I was able to talk to Janelle about her interests and concerns. She goes on, I'd always idealized the nature of sister wives. I expected that they would be my best friends. After that first troubling year, I realized that friendships aren't instantaneous. If you want someone to be your best friend, you have to work on the relationship. Of course, everyone is responsible for their own mindset and happiness and maintaining a good, healthy headspace. However, if you live in a situation that has a lot of instability and insecurity, and there are tough dynamics and constant emotional ups and downs where you share your husband and deal with the emotions and suffering that come with it, it can make it more toxic and more difficult to maintain a good mindset, especially when you have a husband who isn't conducting the lifestyle the way you know it should be done. Right from the start, Cody wasn't even doing something as simple as equal time for all of the wives. And Christine would go to Cody and he would more or less act like the issues didn't exist. rather than trying to compromise or work through the issues. You can choose to be happy and you can manage yourself, your mindset, and how you react, but there is no control over the dynamics in the house, Cody's behavior with the wives, the unfair allocation of time, the bickering sister wives. That will create obstacles to be able to consciously choose to be happy. And you can try, but these things will always constantly cycle and creep in. So it's not as simple as choosing to be happy in a system like polygamy. Also, this is framing that it's all on Christine's shoulders to make her marriage work and to be happy, when she has a husband who isn't mature or aware enough to listen to Christine's problems and compromise in order to resolve things. He can adapt to resolve things and be much more supportive and fair to Christine. I feel as though Cody felt it was on Christine solely to decide to be happy and to make it work with her husband. But why is it not also Cody's responsibility to do what he can? For example, when Christine said she wants a more equal rotation schedule among the wives, instead of shutting down because it's inconvenient for Cody, why didn't he just do his best to be conscious of giving his wives equal time? I know it's because he didn't want to and it was an inconvenience to him. He probably wasn't willing to be bothered with this inconvenience. But the message Christine took from this was she should choose to be happy and it was all on her to make her marriage work. But where is the accountability and responsibility of Cody, the husband, in all of this? A marriage is two people. It's not solely on the wife to make it work. And she can make a conscious decision to be happy and be responsible for her mental state. But where is the part about Cody also needing to be a better husband, to listen and compromise and communicate and support? Because all I see is Christine taking the weight on her shoulders when she cannot make her marriage work alone when it involves two people. I have a feeling Christine had been making her marriage work, carrying this weight from the start as Cody phoned it in. I also think about the fact that Christine always valued wanting sister wives over having a husband as far as plural marriage. She knew she always wanted to be a third wife to avoid what comes with your husband marrying a new wife after you. But she didn't take a hard look at her sister wives to make sure she liked them and they were of the right character to have that bond with her and that they were interested in that. And she didn't see how important that aspect was to them first. I know Christine and Janelle are like sisters now, but let's be honest. Both Janelle and Mary aren't the let's have a sleepover and braid each other's hair types. Mary was overbearing and she seems to be demanding at times, at least initially. And Janelle was career-oriented. She wasn't really into being that close with a sister wife, especially initially after the nightmare with Mary when she joined the family. And she felt she had to hole up in her room and avoid the common areas of the house she paid for to avoid Mary's wrath. Janelle also had a job and a new child. And if sister wives and that sister bond was so integral to Christine, why didn't she really check her sister wives out first to see their character and their personalities and the quirks, how they are mask on and off, how they are stressed and chill, to see if they also share the same ideal of wanting that bond as well, and if they have the conducive personality types to fit, to create a good dynamic and that sister-wife, sister-like bond. Ultimately, Christine and Janelle are like sisters even now, after Christine left the family. And they seem to really respect and admire each other, and they have each other's backs. Mary and Christine got along fine, but I wouldn't say they're like sisters. Mary seems to have the opposite personality style to Christine, and I know they can goof off together, but as far as a deep sisterhood, it kind of feels more surface. We also know after last tell-all that Mary isn't too crazy about Christine. She had no problem throwing Christine under the bus to make Cody look better, to try to gain points with him, in my opinion. She said Christine needed to stop blaming others, like Cody, her ex-husband, for example, for her failed relationship and that she needed to look inward at her own faults and do the hard work. Mary has known Christine for at least 25 years, and she knows Christine worked tirelessly on her marriage from the start with a husband who isn't willing to work hard too, who prefers convenience and who doesn't value his wife's voice. He doesn't listen and communicate, and he isn't willing to compromise much. So Christine basically had to shove down her own needs and her own wants and herself and her feelings, and she had to put on a smile and try over and over with Cody to make it work. And Cody was like talking to a wall, I'm sure. And Mary knows all of what Christine went through, and she preferred to make Cody look better at the tell-all and throw Christine under the bus unnecessarily, suggesting it's on Christine and her faults that the marriage failed, and Cody had nothing to do with it at all. So with Mary, it's safe to say Christine didn't develop that sister-wife bond she idealized in her mind. Christine relaxed into her role, and she began to understand her place in the family. She was the driving force between negotiating a truce in the house, between Janelle and Mary, and she soothed a lot of hurt. At this point, Mary and Janelle had no relationship at all. It was completely non-existent. Christine developed a camaraderie with Mary. They would joke and goof off together, and with Janelle, Christine could talk about her interests and concerns. We know from the book and the show that Cody was happy when Christine came in because she acted as a buffer in the dynamic with Mary and Janelle, who were at each other's throats. And Christine was convenient for Cody because she lifted that burden from Cody's shoulders of his constantly bickering wives going to him with their grievances against each other. And Cody appreciated Christine lifting that burden off of him. But Cody couldn't show his appreciation by listening to Christine's issues and compromising so things could be fair across the board for all of his wives, because it would inconvenience him, in my opinion. Christine always idealized the nature of sister wives, and she expected her sister wives would be her best friends. But after her first fraught year, she realized friendships aren't instantaneous. She says if you want a best friend, you have to work on your relationship. In time, Christine was able to forge closer relationships with Mary and Janelle. Christine says Mary became her best friend. Christine got closer to Janelle, but Janelle is more reserved than Christine or Mary, so their friendship was less dynamic and more practical. But Christine points out she loves Janelle the same as her other sister wives. It's interesting that at the time of writing this book, Christine says she is closer to Mary because, as we know, the end result currently is Christine and Janelle are like sisters. And Mary threw Christine under the bus at the tell-all, and they don't seem to be very close. And on the show, they also don't seem very close. But it could also be that because they are less reserved than Janelle, they got closer at first. Plus, Christine and Mary knew each other for years before her marriage to Cody. And maybe over the years, that relationship dwindled, and Janelle opened up more maybe as Mary became more problematic for the dynamic in the house. It's possible that that caused Janelle and Christine to gravitate towards each other to stand up for what they wanted in terms of household decisions. These sister-wife relationships feel way too complicated and unnatural to me. I think not only is there the hierarchy and the favoritism and the constant emotional struggles that come with sharing a husband, but then you are trying to be best friends with the person you share your husband with. And that causes you struggles. And then you ally with certain sister wives in the house during issues and decision making. So it seems like a constant cycle of emotions with sharing a husband and a competition of who wins what household battle over how they should handle some issues. plus maintaining friendships that are loving and deep with these women while sharing my husband. It's complicated, too complicated, and it doesn't, in my opinion, seem conducive to a healthy mindset or environment. And I'm not saying beautiful sisterhood relationships can't happen. Look at Christine and Janelle. They can happen. But I just think it's a lot of stress and a lot of emotions and a lot of work and a lot of hell to get there. It's probably really rare to get there. After Aspen was born, Christine began to benefit from the sister wives experience she hoped for. Aspen was the first girl in the family, restored Christine's sense of happiness, and now that Christine was a wife and a mother in the family, she felt as equally important as her sister wives. That makes me think if becoming a mom made her feel as important as Mary and Janelle is the fact that Mary could only have one kid in a polygamist family, much deeper than a monogamous woman's infertility struggles because they are living in polygamy where there's so much centered around having kids and the caregiving and the value and importance and the stress on the wife providing kids in the polygamist family. Is the fact that Mary could only have one kid, not just a struggle with Mary understandably feeling sad that she couldn't have her dream of a house full of kids and feeling devastated her body betrayed her, but could she also feel deeply that she mattered less and was less integral to her plural family just because she only was able to have one child? Mary said she felt left out of family decisions at times or left out with Christine and Janelle when they discussed stuff involving the kids. But did it also have to do with Mary feeling within her faith and her community and her plural family she was worth less or had less status or that she mattered less to the family because she only had one child to give the family? That could be why Mary gets very upset when she wants a larger home for just herself and Leo or the wet bar. I don't think it's about her being obnoxious or unreasonable. I think, first of all, every wife should get the same, regardless of the amount of kids they have. But I also think to Mary, her feeling like she takes a smaller house or doesn't get the wet bar, to her it's about feeling like she matters the same to the family, whether she had her dream of a house full of kids or just had one child, that she has the same status as the wives with more children, that she matters the same. That comment by Christine that now that she had Aspen was equally as important as her sister wives really made me think about Mary. And in the faith and lifestyle, having kids is your whole status and identity and value to the family. So Mary just having one child, it's not just the loss of her dream or the betrayal of her body, but her feeling like she is less important and integral to the family because she has one child. It just hit me that Christine didn't feel as important as her sister wives before she had kids. And it could be because Cody was so enamored with Logan that she got less attention. But I think more so, it was about knowing she mattered more and had a different status in the family once she had a child. And Mary probably felt more of a sting with her infertility because she may have felt less important or less valuable to the family. So it hurt even more within this faith and lifestyle dealing with her infertility struggle. I'm sure it magnified it. I know Mary mentioned not feeling she mattered as much because she had just one child, but it just clicked with me with Christine's comment how much deeper this is for Mary within this lifestyle and culture, because children, in a sense, in some way equate to status in the family, and it's a huge part of the woman's purpose in the faith and in the lifestyle. It makes me feel even more for Mary because she not only felt the loss of that dream and the betrayal of her body, but she felt the loss of her importance and identity within her family and culture. So I imagine that it's more difficult, in my opinion, to go through this as a polygamist woman than a monogamous woman, having to deal with this because your whole faith and culture and identity is largely tied to having kids. So Mary felt she can't have her dream. She isn't integral to her family, and she probably struggled with her identity, purpose within the faith and family and culture. And on top of that, to just feel betrayed by your own body, that's so heavy and hard because she probably felt she lost everything. And I think that's why it mattered to Mary to have the bigger home or the wet bar later on. It's about feeling she matters, the same in the family, and is as important as the wives with more kids. I get it now, and that resonated with me as far as Mary's struggles and mindset big time with that comment Christine made. Anyways, sorry for the diversion, on with Christine. Christine tells the story of losing weight after birth. After she slimmed down, Christine, Janelle, and Cody were out shopping, and they were in an expensive clothing store way beyond their budget. Money was an issue they had. They were as financially secure as a group of teenagers, Christine says. Christine found an outfit that she liked very much, and she tried it on, and Janelle told Christine she had to buy it. The outfit cost $100, and Christine protested that it was too much. But Cody insisted on buying Christine the outfit, even though it was so expensive, and it was more than they ever spent on anything besides rent in their lives. What about the grocery bills for 2 or 3 little ones and 4 adults? Is that not more than $100? Christine says moments like that, away from the duties of family life, proved to her they could all live a fun, tranquil, plural family life. They moved around a lot since Christine came into the family. Janelle had her own place for a bit, as did Christine, but after Aspen was born, they all moved back into one house for financial reasons, and soon after that, Mary had Leo. The new house was cramped with 4 adults and 3 kids, all in diapers. Cody was miserable at work. The close living situation made tempers flare. Cody decided they needed to move from Powell, Wyoming, so they moved from a 1,000 square foot house in Powell to a 3,000 square foot house in Utah. There was a kitchen and a kitchenette, so Janelle didn't have to share the kitchen with Christine and Mary. Janelle sharing a kitchen with Mary and Christine was a major source of strife for them previously. We know from Janelle's chapter that she likes to leave her dishes out at night and relax at night, and she likes to do her dishes later the next morning. And Christine and Mary both preferred the dishes to be done right away, and that caused issues. Everyone was able to settle in the larger house in Utah. Mary and Christine's relationship began to deepen because their babies were only months apart. Janelle's career floundered in the small town of Powell, but back in Utah, Janelle was able to get her career back on track, and that made Janelle very happy. And we know the amount of fulfillment Janelle gets from her work. Christine had a part-time job, but her primary role was being a full-time mom. Mary and Christine shared a lot of common interests. Both liked cooking and crafts. They cooked together and they planned activities with the family. Christine and Mary even made their kids matching holiday outfits. Once they moved to Utah, things started looking rosy for everyone. Everyone was happy parenting and working. During this period, Christine says she and Cody began to discover each other. They had the space and freedom to get to know each other in a deeper and more spiritual sense. They were able to start having fun together, and they hadn't had fun for the first year and a half of their marriage. They loved spending time with Aspen. Cody and Christine got to know each other by sharing the dreams they had for their children's futures. Talking about the family they wanted cemented their bond, and it helped them remember their love that was the foundation of their marriage. A year after the move to Utah, Christine and Janelle each had their second children, Madison and McKelty. Now there were 5 kids in diapers in the house. The joy of the family and the kids trumped all of the domestic issues the adults had. Cody found a job he enjoyed, and it brought everyone together, and it made the family much more functional. Cody's new job required him to travel to trade shows. He had to take a trip to Nauvoo, Illinois. Cody was going to be on the road for 2 weeks. Mary and Janelle had already been on trips with Cody, but Christine hadn't yet. Cody asked Christine to go, and she was ecstatic about the opportunity. Christine says Cody could have chosen to take anyone, and he chose her, and she felt special again. This is your husband. He should always make you feel special to him. In monogamy, you get that. With polygamy, each wife gets turns to be special. And when your husband chooses you for a chance to go alone with him, you feel special, like the chosen one who matters. As a wife, do you want to feel chosen and special to your husband when it is your time, or always? This trip was a turning point in Christine's marriage to Cody. It was the first time they spent this much time together alone. Imagine marrying a man you haven't even spent 2 consecutive weeks with alone. Most monogamous couples get to spend a year or 2 together monogamously before they marry, and this is a year and a half into their marriage, and Christine feels special to spend 2 weeks alone with her husband, and it's more time than she ever spent with him alone. It was just Christine, Cody, Aspen, and McKelty. The trip was a disaster in certain aspects, like the car overheating. I have to say, anytime Cody takes a trip, there seems to be some sort of car trouble. The Suburban, the move to Utah had 3 flat tires. This trip to Illinois, the trip to the Dargers. When is there a seamless trip for the Browns with no car trouble involved? The car broke down numerous times on the trip, but these hardships brought Christine and Cody closer. No matter how difficult it was, Christine was determined to sing songs of joy along the way. She loved her adventure at Cody's side. Christine thinks Cody dug her positive attitude. He looked so sweet and cute when she glanced at him. I guess she prefers that mood to Cody's morose 1,000-yard stare during her wedding and honeymoon trip. Christine says Cody was beaming rather than suffering in the heat. This determination to keep a smile on and a positive attitude that Cody dug, even though Christine describes the trip as pulling a handcart through the desert. Is this about Christine's faith and the training from a young age to keep sweet no matter what? I have to wonder. Christine writes, I had loved Cody since before we were married. I suspected that he had been falling in love with me for years. But on that trip is when Cody finally and irrefutably decided that he would step in front of a train for me, which is what he told me when we returned home. That trip was our true honeymoon experience. We had come so far since our official honeymoon, when I worried that I'd married too quickly to a seemingly distant man I loved but didn't really know. Now I was certain that we were soulmates. Christine continues, at the end of the trip, we turned to each other and said, I know that I can trust you to be an amazing and incredible person for the rest of our lives together. I know that I will always be there for you and do everything possible to make things better for you. This was our commitment to each other. We both knew then that if and when disaster should strike, we would hold each other and look into each other's eyes and tell each other that we are glad for every second we spent together. First of all, I don't think you should marry someone you aren't on the same page with, as far as both people being on the same page with their feelings and investment. To marry someone you are in love with, head over heels with, who is not in love with you and not as emotionally attached and invested from the heart, that doesn't bode well. Just suspecting your husband is falling for you over years enough. Cody only decided after they had kids and were married for years he would sacrifice himself for her. He didn't go into the relationship or marriage with that sentiment. But Christine was sure, she was certain she loved him going into this. And if someone asked her from the start, would you jump in front of a train for Cody? She would not hesitate to say yes, in my opinion. So how can you marry a man who you know doesn't feel the same way about you? I know Christine was there for Cody, and she did everything possible to support him and make things better for him and for their family and their marriage. But was Cody there for Christine? Did he have her back? Did Cody do everything possible to make things better for her? Let's examine that a little more closely. When Christine was overwhelmed with the caregiving and homeschooling, she felt overwhelmed and stressed caring for her kids and Janelle's kids most of the time as Janelle worked. Christine went to Cody and she asked him for help. Cody told her he couldn't help in any way, that she signed up for this, and that she wasn't holding up her end of the deal. But Robin got a nanny to help with 2 elementary school aged kids when she has 3 adult kids at home, plus herself and Cody. When Christine and Cody took the anniversary trip to Galveston with the marriage counselor, Christine wanted to address her relationship with Cody and improve it. And Cody refused to address or acknowledge their individual marriage. He instead kept railroading Christine's concerns and the therapist's assignment to build a rock tower symbolizing their anniversary and their individual marriage apart from the family. Cody refused. He instead created his own assignment, and he built a rock tower representing the family instead, despite Christine's requests that they stay on task and make it about them. When Isabel had her back surgery, did Cody do all he can to support Christine and make things better for her as his wife? He instead created more stress and emotions and anxiety for Christine and for their daughter, Isabel, to deal with. Cody didn't accompany Christine to support her or accompany his daughter to be there as a comfort and support for her because the surgery inconvenienced Cody and he refused to attend. He preferred to do what was convenient to him and to not be there as a real man, as a good husband, or as a good father. This was life-threatening, serious surgery with major consequences should things go wrong. It was a required surgery. Isabel was in constant pain and the curve in her back was past 50 degrees. But Cody tried to dissuade Isabel by telling her she would be left with an ugly scar. He also suggested that Isabel fly alone to New Jersey in pain during a pandemic to get the major surgery alone at barely 18, if that. She was scared, and Christine had to reassure Isabel there was no way in hell she would be going alone. When Isabel woke up, the first person she asked for was her dad, and Cody was probably busy hanging at his soulmate's house. When Isabel got back from surgery, Cody didn't help Christine with staying up all night for the pain pill schedule, or he didn't seem to do anything hands-on with helping Isabel recover. He didn't seem to do anything at all. He didn't even try to make an effort to support his wife, who had to care for a rehabilitating Isabel alone. Is that Cody doing all he can to support his wife and make things better for her? When Cody wanted Christine to adapt her behavior with Robin, he tried to manipulate her behavior by saying he never wanted to be intimate with her ever again. And Cody knew he could get sex and love elsewhere. And Christine only had Cody as an option for intimacy. He told her he was no longer interested in intimacy with her, and when Christine wanted to discuss it, he suggested to her that they would see how she behaved with her sister wives first. And we know it was not Janelle he was referring to, and we know it wasn't Mary. So that leaves Robin. He told Christine lots of couples have separate beds or sexless marriages. For Christine, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was a deal breaker. Is Cody a person who would jump in front of a train for Christine? Is Cody a husband who will always be there for Christine? And does Cody do all he can to support Christine and make things better for her? Obviously not, because Christine left Cody after he said he wasn't interested in intimacy with her again. We know that's not the main and only reason that Christine left, but I would say it was the straw that broke the camel's back, along with Cody's refusal to participate with Christine and Isabel and the surgery. How, as a father, could he not go for his daughter and live with himself? He even referred to the New Jersey trip for the surgery as Christine's vacation. I am so happy for Christine that she has moved to Utah, divorced from Cody, living her best life. I cannot wait to see what happens with Christine in the new season starting September 11th. That does it for this episode of Book Club. I'll see you this week for the next episode in my Sister Wives Rewatch, Season 3, Episode 2, Teen Sex Talk. To my YouTube viewers, please like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comments section if you like. I love hearing your takes. Also, again, if any of you have a preference regarding continuing with the Season 3 rewatch of Sister Wives till the new season begins, or covering the first half of Season 16, which I haven't covered yet, before the new season, let me know. Let me know what you guys prefer. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.